the Jake Giffin Podcast.
He's not just another hype man with a mic. Amard Vital went from analyzing athletes to awakening them, helping players earn millions in scholarships and teaching everyday people how to think like champions when no one's watching. He's the author of Awaken the Baller Within and I Am More Than Enough, books that turn motivational talk into mental training and mindset into measurable results. Today, if you're looking to think like a champion, Amard is the guy you need to listen to. Welcome to the Jake Giffin Podcast, Amard Vital.
Jake, I'm grateful to be on your show, man, and looking forward to it.
It's going to be a good time, man. You've gone from scouting talent to sculpting it, to making guys kind of what they are. Let's rewind a bit. Who's Amard before all this happens?
Amard is just a young man from a small town in Texas, man, New Caney, Texas, who basically grew up with a pen in his hand, man, and a dream to do big things. And so, obviously, I speak, I coach, I teach fitness classes, I'm in ministry, and all these different things like that. But it starts off right here. And I always believe that the greatest gift God ever gave me outside of the word is my pen, because that is the foundation of everything I do. There's a notepad next to me right now with a pen in my hand, and there's several notepads sitting next to me because I constantly stay writing, because I believe that the greatest power I have is within my pen. And so obviously it evolved into so many different things, and obviously I made a name for myself in the college football recruiting analyst world, working with Fox Sports Southwest, working with Sooners Illustrated magazine, and I was a Texas recruiting analyst for the state of Texas. And of course, most colleges across the country look for athletes from Texas. So I had quite a few updates with many young men over the years. And it was just an interesting journey to go through that, because obviously during that time, life was happening to me. And so while I'm studying, how to see how they're, analyzing film, I was going through some pretty some rough times on my end as well. And so that kind of led me to spiritual and personal development. That led me to reading my Bible more. That led me to reading many of the books that all of us in business are in, Who Moved My Cheese, Think and Grow Rich, Inspire Destiny, How to Win Friends and Influence People. All of the, there's like a top 10 that I've read.
That is the top 10.
Yes. And I dug into all of those books. And so here it is. I'm just, I'm a jock from Texas, former jock, who's now a sports writer, but I came up on personal and spiritual development. And so I just needed to find a way to marry the two of those. And that's kind of led into what I'm doing now. And man, for any of your audience out there, they can probably tell you that there's been a major roller coaster in life. And, what you thought you were going to do when you were 9 years old was different when you were 17 years old to when you got 28 years old and when you became mid-30s. And some of us are reinventing ourselves in our 40s and 50s, and that's kind of where I am right now, and I'm grateful for it. And I know that my heart heavily, because it seems like my entire life, everything has always pointed to the empowering of young men. Yeah. And so now I'm just openly saying that's what we're here to do. Like, I mean, I have many platforms that does many different things, but at the core, when it is time, my focus is the empowerment and the betterment of the next generations behind us and moving them forward so that they can be productive, awesome young men, awesome husbands, awesome fathers, and awesome contributors to this great country we have called America.
Yeah, and I think that's how we connected. I think that's what I think attracted me to you was we're on similar missions, very different backgrounds, very similar missions, whereas our coaching model here, we use a D6 coaching model, which I developed. It's an integration of neuroscience, modern psychology, backed up with its foundation being the Bible. And so we integrate modern psychological principles with scripture, and we get maximum change for young men, old men. I mean, we have a broad demographic. We focus on men. We can help anybody, but you've spent a lot of time in, first of all, what interests me, what you said, small town in Texas. Mm-hmm. When you're in a small town in Texas, football, sports, that's the life, right? That's everybody's life wraps around that. At what point did you fall in love with the pen? Like, what is writing to you?
It's funny because the pen actually came before sports. I began doing, my father put me in competitive sports when I was about 8 years old.
Yeah,
And
I
so
bet.
I was running summer track in Humble, Texas, which is the larger town up the street from where I was in New Caney. And I ran summer track there. Worked under a lot of great coaches then. And really I truly believe that was the foundation. Um, because the track, I always say there's certain sports that absolutely build character. And I think track is one of them. Wrestling for sure is one of them. Tennis is one of them. All of those sports where it's you, meaning when you're in the arena, whereas, you play football, you can say, well, the receiver didn't catch the football or you missed a tackle or something like that. It's a team thing. But when you're on a tennis court, when you're in
Yes.
the swimming pool, when you're on the track and it's your lane and you got 100 yards, 200 yards to go, you can't be like, Billy didn't. No, it's you. And so
Dude, people are going to hear you say that, dude, that know me, and they're going to think this is like, you're my doppelganger. Like, that has been like, I've never, when you talk about team sports, I've never been, I love football, but I've never, it's hard because, like you said, you have all these other players, right? But when it's you and the track, when it's you and the tennis court, when it's just you, mano a mano,
yeah,
that's it, man. It's all you.
There's no one to blame, right?
Mhm.
You're looking in the mirror. It's you, right?
Mhm.
I mean, there's no other factors. It's not the coach. It's not your dad. It's not anybody else. It's strictly you. I mean, and yes, and no, we didn't discuss any of this pre interview whatsoever, because the one thing that I noticed, like, because my nephew now, I think he's 23 years old, but when he was a kid, he was playing soccer very early on. He was a goalie, and then he kind of switched between multiple positions. And I remember my sister called me one day and was just like, "Hey, your nephew killed it. He scored 4 goals." And I was like, "Wow, that's awesome." I was like, "How many?" I was like, "How bad? How much was the margin of their victory?" And she's like, "Well, they don't keep score." What? What do you mean they don't keep score? Who won? Well, they don't. They don't want there to be an official winner. And I'm like, then what the heck are we playing for? I mean, what is there to study and go? What are we just doing this for fun? Even when you play pickup games at the park with your boys, you're still keeping score. Now, at the end of it, you're not like, hey, I won 5 games, you won 3. Like, we don't care about that, but we still keeping score. And I'm still gonna walk away and say, I schooled you, or whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there's a character building element. And yeah, so you're saying, well, it's just sports. No, sports is a metaphor for life. That's what Awaken the Baller Within was. It's a metaphor for life, meaning that if you can't hold yourself together on the football field, on the basketball court, in the swimming pool, in the arena when you're doing wrestling, like, you take that into the workplace. Because I guarantee you, we've all worked with somebody and you're just like, did dude ever play sports? Did she ever compete? But because the attitude they bring to the workplace is one of entitlement, is one of, it's not fair. And it's just like, yeah, welcome to life. It's not fair. It's going to have moments when it's absolutely terrible. And guess what? You still get up and say, I'm going to get back on the court. I'm still going to pick the basketball up again. I'm going to show back up to practice after I just got demolished the night before on the field. And yes, I've had some pretty terrible losses, but my father taught me early on, we're not doing the woe is me thing in this house. You're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to get back on the track. You're going to show back up to the coach and go to practice. You're going to sit in the film room and you're going to get stuff done. And so I tried to bring a lot of that into some of my guys who don't play sports. Because when you have a guy who plays sports, then you can absolutely use all the references in the world because they understand those. But I try to bring those kind of references into everyday life with my guys and say, like, look, man, you being a leader is not optional. As a male, as a born biological male, you do not get the option of not being a leader.
You carry weight.
You carry weight. You're going to be leading something. First of all, your life. You're going to be leading women and children. You're going to be leading a company. You're going to be leading a team. You're going to be leading a classroom. You're going to be leading something within the realm of life and in multiple areas and multiple times throughout the game. Now, our counterparts, not saying that they cannot be leaders, but they actually have an option. And for any of my people who went to college out there, tell me if this doesn't sound like familiar. You know, I went to school with a lot of amazing women, right? Who are going through and they're going to get their degrees. They're in sociology, they're in marketing, they're in business administration or whatever. Junior year, they run into to Bart over there. He's awesome. He's in the engineering department. They start dating in college. 2 years later, they're married. They start having children. She stays at home, rears and raises the kids, which is a beautiful thing in life to do. And she has the marketing degree, but she's not forced to use it. She doesn't have to. There is no path, zero, where a man can do that. There's none. And if there is one, please somebody let me know.
No, I haven't seen one, dude. I've known a few people to try. It always ends up miserable.
Well, here's the deal. Like, is there a guy out there who is going to meet, you know, a Taylor Swift, Paris Hilton type of wealthy woman, and she's going to take care of him? Let me know where that exists.
Travis Kelce, we're talking to you, buddy. Just kidding.
Well, I mean,
just kidding. He's got his own.
You know, he makes good bread. I mean, but
yeah, he's doing all right.
What you start? Yeah, I mean, she's probably one of like 10, 20 women where it's like, okay, here's someone who's in the billions and he's a multimillionaire. So
there's a prenup in there anyway, so it doesn't matter. For sure. I mean, you don't get to be T Swift and not have prenup already in the box.
So you're saying there's contracts everywhere. You know, everyone wants to believe, you know, however it goes down. But the bottom line is that the truth is that life is not fair for any of us. But for sure, it's a different battle when you grow up as a male.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing, there's a revival and a recovery, but man, we lost a good 30, 40 years of just hardcore, you know, my stern Vietnam veteran, my petroleum engineer father, just leaning on us and just, you know, the man who just wakes you up on the weekend just because why? I pay for everything in here and I feed you, so you're going to get up and do something. What? I don't know. But what you're not going to do is sleep in. And that's just the culture that I was raised under. I mean, we say your dad was hard. I was like, yeah, he was tyrannical. You know, and you know what? Thankfully, he was. Because I had friends whose fathers and mothers were not tyrannical. And I know where they are. And I know where I am. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
How old are you?
I'm 46.
You're 46. Well, good for you, man. You look like you're 25.
Well, thank you. I get that a lot.
Black don't crack. It's known.
That's a running joke at the church right now. They laugh at me and say that, you know, I witnessed Moses parting the Red Sea. Apparently, I was in the garden at some point in time. I saw all the major things in the Old Testament. I was there to witness those.
At 46, well, you go to a young church then.
Well, no, I mean it's a variety of ages, but they like when I first revealed my age, everyone was like, "There's no way," because most people think I'm probably in my early to mid 30s.
You've gotten a lot done in 46 years. I mean, you teach discipline beyond emotion. That's like a big trait. How do you teach discipline? I mean, people get emotional. Athletes get emotional. Musicians get emotional. They're almost irrationally emotional. Mostly drummers. I'm just kidding. But athletes get really emotional. How do you get them past that? How do you get them past the emotions and focused on the discipline aspect of this?
Well, I don't think you actually get past it. I just think that you have to recognize that it's there and just don't become a slave to it. Right? We all have emotions. Like we can't, like there's no way to shut off your emotions. I mean, basically have a nervous breakdown if you try to do that. Because we've all tried to just like shut our emotions off, and we've all probably crashed out in doing so.
Yeah.
But what I typically like to do is like when I know that I'm getting into the mode where maybe I'm getting anxious, maybe I'm about to get angry, maybe I'm about to get bothered by something. I'm just like, okay. And I have a not really a program, but I kind of have a principle. It's just like, okay, what's good here? What of this flaming dumpster fire is good, right? And it's not easy because you're just looking around like this kind of it's not awesome, but find something good out of it. And usually, like the fact that you're still breathing, you have life. That's kind of a start. And so, like we can kind of build from there. And and it's not like, well, it could have been worse, but it could have been worse. Or
Yeah.
but there's something here that we can build upon, right? And a lot of times what it does is it reveals something that maybe you have an insecurity you haven't faced. Maybe you have a fear of something that you didn't realize you feared. And so when we have more information, we're able to move in a different way. And so maybe when a situation like that comes later, when it's like, I mean, I've had recent times, even probably within the last week, where something that really bothered me was coming up, and I was just like, I know this, and I know that my usual reaction is this, but let me take a couple of deep breaths. Let me see. Let me allow the Holy Spirit to come, navigate through this head of mine, bring some calmness, and say, all right, this is how we're going to move. Meaning what I'm saying is that in spite of your fear, in spite of your anxiety, in spite of your anger, you move constructively and you basically overcome yourself in real time. I don't want you to suppress them. I just want you to recognize that they're there and just push straight through them and just be like, I am scared out of my mind and I'm going to take 2 more steps.
Yes.
And I'm going to go do it. Well, what if something goes wrong? Okay. Welcome to life. Stuff goes wrong all the time, right? Our most successful people, you and I mean, I'm sure if you and I, we'd have a podcast that would last 3 months if we started listing off all the things that went wrong in our lives, yet we're still here. And I would think that both of us look at ourselves as a success. That's because we've taken a lot of L's.
Yeah.
We've taken a bunch of losses. We've been kicked in the teeth. We've sprained the ankles. We've fallen off of roofs, right? We've made those mistakes, which makes us winners.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like the best way to succeed is to start by failing a lot.
Yeah. Because, you run a business, I run a business. How'd that first marketing plan and business plan go for you?
Not great.
Yeah. I mean, like what, 97% of it got scrapped and you kept 3 and then you rebuilt the thing all over again? Because you're like, oh, I really thought that this would work. And then it's like, oh, almost none of it worked.
Well, it's still a moving target, right? Algorithms change, internet's change, things change, and you have to follow. It's like a full-time job, just chasing algorithms and companies and doing what they're doing, so that you can get the most reach, so you can generate the most leads. I mean, it's a constant game, and sometimes you hit it just right, and another time, there's a lot of times you set cash on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's that whole figure it out. And it's like, when do you figure it out? It's like, you don't.
What's a difference in your world between like offensive thinkers, defensive thinkers? Is that something that's even considered in kind of the stuff you do?
I would, I'm by my core, I'm a defensive guy. But as I've actually gotten older, being on offense, it's probably more of my mindset now. Just go and do it.
That's weird how that happens, right? Because I think I was like that too, where for a long time I was very focused on staying away from the pain, kind of away from danger, kind of preparing, not to fail. And then once I started getting used to, like, hey man, you're not gonna be a millionaire by saving money. Right? You have to put it out there. You have to invest. You have to send it out. You have to risk. And And so it's one of those things where as I've gotten older too, it's like I've started making this shift from defense, protecting what I've got, to being, oh man, you gotta think about what the goal is. And we do that, I think, as Christians. I think we lose sight of that because Christ is the goal, right? He's the target. And everything in our lives is committed to kind of conforming us to that. And so, yeah, so I'm with you. I think as you get older, you kind of change directions for some reason. But defense, like my wife is defensive. She's, defensive players, they're always trying to figure out how not to let the team score. You know what I'm saying? they got defense. They're good. They're good at figuring out where all the holes in your plan are. And you need those people, right? But it's harder to be those people. So you don't really, so you've talked a lot about mental dominance. What's some personal failures that are going to help our audience kind of reorient or kind of guide their lives a bit?
Well, I think where we just were is one of the things. It's like, do it afraid. Do it
afraid.
Do it in like, and it's interesting because, like you said, we go through this thing and my father warned me of this, but it's all, the father's wisdom doesn't hit you until, like, I don't know, maybe a decade later sometimes. Because you're just like, oh, it's just dad. And then you're just like, and I had that conversation with my father. My father's 76 years old right now. And he and I was having that talk, and I was just telling him how, like, in business and in different things in life, I was like, Dad, I remember when you told me you reinvented your life, in your 40s. I was like, dude, it's real. Like, I'm there. Like, I've had this success. I've done a many of things, and it's just like you're at the highs, and you just think that high, and me going overseas and speaking a couple of times and doing all the things, you just think that, like, that train is just gonna just keep going, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, that's so much the past. Like, what's next? And then you realize that what got you there won't take you to the next step. And then you end up kind of flatlining, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I got to start back over. Like, I just graduated from college, 2 weeks ago. And so there's this idea, and and then of course, here recently, obviously professionally, I've been making a lot of moves, but my major shift that's probably happened in the last 4 or 5 years has been in ministry. And so, I've been all over the spectrum when it comes to religion and spirituality. I've tried almost all sorts of things. I always kept the Bible close to me, but I might have been like, oh, this over here doesn't seem too bad. Oh, this seems like this will work. Oh, this will work. And it's like, then you realize, like, okay, all of that has not benefited me. But I'll tell you where it did benefit me is that when I did open it back up again, and I did see the light, and I did reread the Gospels, and I did get back, and understanding what Acts is supposed to be in our lives, I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to reinvent myself, even from the foundation of my Christian faith. So in doing that, mind you, I'm not 22. I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, I'm jumping back in the Bible like it's Bible, like it's Sunday school. Yeah. And so there's a kind of a push pull where you're just like, am I too late to the party? But then you realize Paul wasn't exactly a young dude. All those disciples were completely clueless on so many different fronts. I mean, if you really think about it, did they not become who they were supposed to be after he ascended, after resurrection? When he was here, he was just like, how much longer am I going to be able to coach you all through this? And it took him coming back, walking with them those times, showing the wounds and saying, now go and do this. I got to go. I'm going to leave you a helper. And so what I would share with a lot of people is like, rely on the helper, because you alone are not enough. And you will completely fumble the bag, and you will continue fumbling the bag, just like all those before us who were great men, all the way back to the days of Jacob and to the days of all of those guys. They were all just like, oh my goodness, quite reckless and made a ton of mistakes. So what I'm saying is that go and make those mistakes. But when you were talking a little bit a minute ago about offense and defense, I realize now it just kind of hit me, and I don't know if the spirit is just laying this on me at this time. And you're saying like how, you know, you're always on defense and you're like, okay, I don't want to make a mistake. But think about when you shift over to the offense and you're like, I'm going to do it afraid. And you're like, well, where's my defense? I'll tell you where the defense is. The defense is the awesome men who are in your life, right? Who intercede on your behalf, who stand in those gaps and say, hey, Jake, guess what? Hey, you're doing a good thing, but hey, how about you adjust this over here? So the defense is them praying for you. The defense is them interceding on your behalf. The defense is them giving you wise counsel when you're too busy in the fog and you're too deep into those streets in the valley, and it's just like, hey, let me give you a flashlight down there because you're on the right path, but maybe take a slight left over here, take a slight right over there. And so we all become one big unit with that. And that's why I obviously, in addition to all these other things, I tell my young men, hey, you need to go get a community and you need to go get that and form that ASAP. Right? Because no man does this alone. You need an army of, I have an army of men around me right now who all hold me accountable and be like, Amard, you are absolutely wrong about this. And I might be like, who you think you're talking to? But I know that they're telling me that because I have a blind spot and I think I figured it out when you figured out nothing. But once you tell someone, and it's amazing because I just finished my goals last night and I packaged it all up with the scriptures. I'm going to send that over to my guys, because I disciple under somebody right now, which is absolutely amazing to be a Timothy to a Paul. It's absolutely awesome. And I think more men need to not only be in groups like that, but need to have those powerful, structural, moral husbands and father men around them to be like, hey, let's go ahead and lean on one another because this thing is not easy.
Amen.
And so so we need to be able to have those type of I don't want to call them safety nets because we're not safe, but just to have those accountability allies around us.
No, it's a tribe. It's a good tribe. I mean, you do that with in your coaching, right? Where it's like you're playing the game. You know, somebody comes to you with a problem, or they're coming to you with some kind of life issue, and you're replaying the tape. That's what we do in our coaching. Right? We replay the tape. Like what was the process? Help them find the gaps. Next time you see that gap, instead of going right, you'll run through the gap. Right. And then you practice it in your mind until it's fired, until it's there. That way you practice it beforehand and that's the purpose of a coach. Like a lot of people have, this is what's so insightful about the things that you're working on being a coach and being a speaker and being so involved in athletics and ministry is that you get to see the psychological performances, or if that's the right way to say it. All these things are intricately related. Like whether you're a pastor at a church or you're a leader in a church or you're a coach or you're a speaker or a personal coach, you get to see all the value of having that tribe behind you that goes, here, you're two in the mix, bro. You gotta break out of it. You're in the fog. Let me help you part that fog a bit and give you some and help you define where those gaps are, man. That's powerful right there, because I think if anybody takes anything out of this, it is whether you're a man or a woman, you got to find savages that you can absolutely rely on, who will tell you the absolute truth in love and force you outside your blind spots.
Completely and totally agree. I don't know which book I wrote it in, but I wrote it in one of them. I was like, man, you got to get the yes man out of your life. Like, get the yes men out of your life. The ones who think that, oh, everything, Jake, that's keynote I've ever heard. Jake, that was the best podcast. And he's just like, where's the constructive criticism?
Dude,
where am I supposed to grow if I'm awesome every time I do something? Where's the growth?
Yeah.
Right. And you have to have those kind of guys whom you give that permission structure to be like, hey, I'm extremely flawed. Please tell me when I'm out of line, because I'll continue just running into that same stupid wall and thinking that I'm getting somewhere. It's interesting. I was talking with, I don't want to call him a colleague because he's kind of very influential in my book work, my publishing, and the marketing and all that around it. And I remember going to him recently, and I was just like, "Look, man, I'm broken. Like I got nothing. I'm like I'm out of my mind. I can't create. My content gene has left the building. My pen is well, my pen is dormant. This and that." And it was just interesting. He wrote back to me, and he was just like, "Oh man," he's like, "I love hearing this," and I'm just like, "I just told you like everything's falling apart." He's like, "No, do you know how much strength it takes to say you don't have it? To say that you have completely failed?" He's like, "You are way stronger than you need to." And he's like, "Your bounce back is going to be so crazy because it's the biggest thing is to realize that you have a problem. And it's in the fact that you have the strength to have that level of humility and open up to me like that." And then he sent me some materials to help me through this. And he was just like, "Hey, here's my calendar. Book me whenever you want." Mind you, this man is managing, I think, about 5, 6, 7 businesses.
Mm.
They sent me not one, not two, but 3 emails. And they weren't like those 4-liners. This guy was sending like full paragraphs for me.
Wow.
Right. And you're sitting up there like, "Oh, I don't even deserve this."
Mhm.
Right. But it's just the idea of knowing that when you, because remember, we're called to serve, not to be served. Right. And
That's
then so
right.
many people think, hey, when you become the boss, when you become the leader. No, when you become the leader, you decrease.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right.
You
Yep.
less, right? You go out and do and make sure all the people around you are good. And
Mhm.
then you eat last. You eat after all of everybody else eats.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and I think once we get to the point where we have that level of humility, we have that level of servant leadership in our hearts, and we lead with that, right? We lead with love, we lead with grace, we lead with sympathy for those who are in need of us, and we seek to serve. We don't seek to get,
Mhm.
we seek to serve. Because
Yep.
so many times we wake up in the morning like, "Hey man, how am I going to generate all this and that?" It's like, how many people's lives are you going to change today? How
Mhm.
about we start there, right? Because the word is that when you serve enough people, like there's an overarching, there's a beautiful, majestic, and loving God who will provide for you. Because
Mhm.
we don't provide for ourselves. We think we're generating all this revenue. No, our resources, everything we have, the good that we have, does not come from us.
That's
And
right.
so we are called to go out and do, as they said in Matthew 28, we're supposed to go
Mhm.
and go do the good work and share the good news, right? In
Mhm.
addition to, if you don't work, you don't deserve to eat, right?
Yeah.
But the deal
Yeah,
is,
that's
is
right.
that what the deal is that you can't leave, and this is where I had trouble early on, and now I realize that it has all come together. You can't have the Wednesday and Sunday version of you, and then the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday of you over here, right?
Mhm.
If the same people are coming together, then how can the Father bless this if you think that this is all you and this is all him? Like, no, he wants to be involved in your life when you
Mhm.
awaken as a father and as a husband. Those things have to come together, because if you're not glorifying him in your home, oh Lord, what's going to happen to you? What's going
Yeah.
to happen to your family? You as the leader. Remember, you don't get the option to sit in the back seat. You're always in the front, right?
Yep.
But when it comes to elevating, you elevate those around you, and then you decrease.
And if everybody did that, like if every disciple of Christ, if every human being did that, they considered other people as higher than themselves. If everybody went into the world today without any selfish ambition, but only had ambition for other people's success, dude, this would be a much different planet.
We're gonna get there. I think this generation behind us, these young people who are basically in high school now, early college, um, the revival's coming through them. That's an anointed generation,
Mm.
and they're gonna undo all the nonsense from the boomers, all the craziness from my generation of Gen X. Um, they're gonna undo all of that, and they're gonna bring that back. And you can see signs of this going on right
Yeah.
now. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Now it's dirty. It's a slugfest, because we know that the liar and the deceiver, he's busy and active. He's already lost, but he does get free reign to kind of roam around and
Hmm.
do his little thing or whatever. But man, like the young men and with the young boys and girls I minister to and I help lead over at my church, man. There's some. I'll tell you what, man. I was I kid you not. I was in a group of them into a hospital to go heal sick people right now. Like that, we're talking 14 to 17 years old. No fear. No fear. They'll go right into the furnace and be like, hey, let there be calm, let there be no heat, and we're gonna cool this off. That's the kind of anointing they have. And so what I have in my talks with God, I realize what my role is, right? Because the revival doesn't come through me. Right? It's coming through that generation. Yeah. My job is to highlight where I went wrong, number one, to restore that, and to make sure that as I fill up at home every morning through prayer, worship, Bible reading, is that I take all of that and pour it all out when I go do my ministry work. Even to the point where if I have to be dragged out of there because I'm exhausted, because I have poured all of that, virtue has left all of it on the next generation, I'm here for that. Like I'm game for the fact that like I leave and it's like my big lumberjack brother over there has to carry me and throw me into the car and take me home because I left it, like as we say in sports, I left it all on the field.
That's right.
Leave it all on the field. And those of us who know sports know exactly what that means. Leave it all on the field, where it's like you gave it your all. Even if you come away and you're not on the winning side of that, you don't have to walk away saying that I did not leave anything to take home with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Dad carried me home. Coach carried me home. Cousin carried me home. I've given it my all. And like you said, as Christians, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Like it shouldn't be a game-changing thing to do that. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, is that not the least we can do after our Lord and Savior gave his life for our reckless behavior down here?
Right. Yeah. We take it for granted because we don't quite recognize that life itself, Jesus, who is life, experienced death. That's in that alone is phenomenal. like somebody who has always been alive, who defines life, who is life, experienced death.
Yes.
Experienced trials and suffering. You're like, oh yeah. What I'm putting out there, Gen X. Now we have our whole generation. I think the best generation, if I'm being biased. I think it's, because we had the boomers for our parents. Those people are train wrecks. No offense, boomers, but you're train wrecks because your parents were a mess, whatever. I don't know how it all works. All I know is that we fell into this sweet spot of latchkey kids and playing in the street and eating dirts and throwing rocks at each other. And we didn't care. We didn't care at all about hurting each other's feelings. That was the best. And I'm 52. So I have 5 decades, 4 conscious decades of scars that I've poured in from my life, that I've gotten, the learning scars that I've gotten from, growing in Christ over the last 30 years. And now we get to pour that back into young people. That is, that's the model. Where do you, in your neck of the woods, you're seeing, and I'm noticing a lot of revival talk on college campuses across the country. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing a generation of young people who have had enough, right? And it's just kind of a collective of these different churches, because I mean even the churches are complicit in some of this nonsense too,
for sure,
right? And those who are not are getting exposed, and there's a cleansing going on, right? I mean, I don't have to tell you about different things that are happening. Some things have happened out here in Houston, where some people are being exposed because the light is turning on and the roaches are scattering. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And so these young people are seeing this and they're just like, okay, wait a minute. They're telling us that they're telling the girl, okay, so there's liberation in having as many sexual partners as possible and not getting married and my body, my choice.
Yeah.
That's freedom for a woman. They're telling the guys, hey, follow the women because hey, we don't want to be toxic, and we don't want you to stand your ground because we don't need to hear from you with all of that because it's too abrasive for you to just stand and hear and proclaim what needs to be done. And the dudes are just like, no, I'm not going to sit on the couch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay at home till I'm 32 years old.
Mm-mm.
I'm not going to, forego my chosen purpose in life. I'm going to find out what that is. Even if I'm a bit of a train wreck right now, I'm going to seek out what's going to be better for me. I have so many guys and gals who are kind of in that sweet spot coming out of high school, going into college. They've been in college for a couple of years and they want to see like kind of what's the next step with this. And, I'm trying to help them to like not be in college for something that's not worth something, so you don't come out with, $130,000 in student loans and you can't make more than $38,000 a year, which means you're going to be broke for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right. And so many times they've been lied to even about that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Like, oh, I have 3 or 4 degrees. You're working at Best Buy.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Best Buy.
Nothing wrong with it.
If you're going to have 3 degrees and you want to talk about how educated you are, how useful are you? And see, that's like you said, we came up with Gen X. We did the feelings. The only time you had feelings was in those dumb talk shows that completely crapped on men.
Yeah, that's right.
All of those 80s shows, all of them, totally. And we didn't realize at the time because we were in it, but totally crapped on men. And then those guys who are our age now, the ones who are just corrupted in the mind, they've raised more of those where they're, kind of lesser thinking men who just want to kind of be these kind of simpletons who just want to I just want to kind of go through this thing. I'm a chill and man, I need to find myself. It's like, shut up and go to work.
Yeah.
How about that? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I don't care that your mom was on crack and your dad's in jail. I do care, but I don't care because you don't get the option. You don't get to choose your parents. You don't get to choose all the nice little cool things. Okay, so your buddy got a car when he was 16 and you had to hitch a ride or ride the bus. Okay, life sucks sometimes, okay? Cool. Now, you're 34 years old. What we finna do, man? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? You got dealt a crappy deck of cards.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to you. Now get up and go get a job so that we can build up to get you a better job. We can get you in community college to get you some skills to go do something else.
That's right.
Right? Yeah, but I don't care what we do and don't know. We take things one step at a time. You tell me, you want to get out of this hole you're in? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And these are the kind of conversations that this really on us Gen X men to drop to these other generations and to guys of our own generation to be like, dude, get off the sideline.
Yeah.
Get off the doggone sideline and get into the game because we got a whole generation of young people out here and a third of them are completely lost. What did they say? The current generation, 25% of them are somewhere on the spectrum of whatever ideologies of sexual improprieties or whatever. I don't even know what they call it today.
I don't even know what they call it anymore.
it's so confusing because we came up when it was just basically gay or lesbian. It was just like, hey, y'all fought for your rights, do your thing, whatever. And now it's like 18 other letters on the back end of this thing, and I'm like, I'm so confused.
You're like, I can't keep up. I have no interest in keeping up. Yeah.
I don't either, but I have to know enough of it to combat it because they're coming after our children with this nonsense. So I got to know at least enough of it to be able to tell them like, hey, guess what this is? This is not just a mental thing. This is demonic.
Yeah.
This is demonic.
Well, we can for sure help the young men. It's like you said, as Gen X, we came up with the Al Bundys and all these dad figures that were neutered, impotent. They had no fire, no goals, no nothing in them. And then over the generation, we've managed to make a bunch of placated, docile men. And the counterpart to that, to your point, was that, women were nurtured to think that that's the kind of man they want. But then when they get that man and that man goes to a job he hates and he sits on a couch all night and he watches TV because he's afraid to be too goal oriented, right? And then they go, "Oh, our relationship's in trouble." Your relationship's in trouble because your man is sitting on the couch without any testosterone running through his body. The guy needs to go to a freaking gym and he needs to, get some goals in his life. The women, you get a woman who's married to a guy like that, eventually that woman finds a man like us. Not you and me. I'm married, but I assume you're married. I don't know, but
here's the thing, Jake. Like, you almost have to say, how did we get there? So let's just take the Al Bundy prototype.
Mhm.
Like, he's the example, right? That guy's a grandfather now. So he has kids who have kids.
Mhm.
So think about it. So we can go back to the Great Society, when they broke the homes up, and it's just like, hey, here's your welfare thing. Just make sure the man is out of the house. And so then you have this whole generation of a bunch of kids being raised in a house because I don't point the finger in any direction because both sides are completely out of line. Right? Because what ended up happening is that the ladies took the Faustian bargain of, hey, no man, but we'll pay for your meager living, and here's a couple of scraps for some food stamps, right?
Yeah.
And then here's 3 or 4 babies, and what ends up happening is they end up choosing lame men on purpose. It's always funny. I have a bunch of friends who end up, with some of them have like, really loser type of dudes, and it's just like, I couldn't tell. I was like, you have intuition for everything else, but within 10 minutes, I can look at this guy and be like, okay, you thought he would be a great dude to make 3 children with. This guy, that guy right there. You telling me you didn't see the fact that guy was not going to hang around? Now, I'm not giving that guy a pass, but what I'm saying is he showed you his color before you decided to lay down and have unprotected sex with him. Like, I can tell he's been like that for a while. So why did you choose to do that with him? And then do it with another guy. And so then what's happening is you have 4 or 5 kids in the house. Let's just say it's 2 boys, 2 girls. Let's just throw that example out there. She's telling the girls, hey, these dudes out here ain't worth a crap. You go out there and you get it, girl. You go out there and they push the girls to be like hardcore. Let's go get 4 or 5 degrees. Screw these men. We don't need them anyway. You go do all of this. But what do they do to the young man? He graduates from high school and it's just like, you're mommy's boy. You don't have to leave now. 21. Oh, you can stay. Well, do I need to go get a job? Well, if you want to. Next thing you know, he's 27, 28 years old. Then now you actually get sick of him because he reminds you of the crap dude you made the baby with to be in the first place. Then you kick him out. And then it's like, well, where are all the good men at? It's just like, oh, do we want to have that conversation? Do we seriously want to have that conversation? That conversation is like 3 layers deep. And so now we have this kind of generation of young men who are just completely lost. And now society's just like, man, just the way, we didn't realize it in the 80s, but now we see it firsthand. Like, society absolutely hates our young fellas. Absolutely and so when I started noticing that when I left my last church and joined the church I'm at now. And then COVID just kind of took everything off the cake. And that's when, whether you say red pill, black pill, whatever pill, like I was just like, oh no, we're done here. And so that's when like I kind of rolled my sleeves up and was just like, you want to get to these guys, you're going to come through me, right? Because y'all already done tried everything with me. But see, I can see what your tactics are, and I don't like them, and I think they're disgusting. And so when I talk to my young men, I say, look here, this is what I need you to do. I need you to make sure and do this in school. I need you to make sure and honor your father and mother. I need you to make sure that you handle all these business. And I need you, when you're coming out of this and you're trying to figure out where am I supposed to go, sit down with a man who has a plan, who can help you get through this, right? Because I need you to be a functioning husband. I need you to be a functioning father. And I need you to rebuild the family, because the boomers in our generation completely screwed that up. Now you need to restore and bring this back, right? And so my job is to be able to help you fix the mistakes that me and my generation and the generation before me did. Because like you said, it's the generation before the boomers. Then the boomers just took it and ran with it, and then we kind of were like the test of, is this gonna work? Because we're basically kind of the first welfare babies, right?
Yeah.
Technically, and so all of that comes full circle. And so my heart goes out to these young men because, I tell them I love them. I tell them I'm here for them. I tell them that they are strong leaders. I tell them that that there's no excuse for you. I'm not going to take things easy on you. I'm going to lean on you so hard because the world is going to kick you in the teeth. The world is going to tell you that you're toxic.
Yep. And
I reject the toxic word.
Yeah, I do.
Because what they're basically taking, they're almost making it seem like you're borderline a serial killer. But a man who stands up and says, I expect this out of my situation. I expect this out of my workplace. I expect this out of my girlfriend and my wife. I expect this out of this. It's like, oh, well, you're just trying to be demanding. Yeah, because I'm called to protect all of these different things. So I need to have as many things in place to be able to properly do this. And if I can put these guardrails in front, knowing that they're still going to be breached, but I still need to stand firm on the fact that this is the way we're going to run the house.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Period.
And there's nothing I mean, from our worldview standpoint, there's nothing. Well, even if there's nothing toxic about it, so that's not. I don't like the word toxic either. I'm with you. But even if it were, all right, then don't hang out with me. Like if you don't like the machismo that I'm putting forth, then go find some dude that braids his hair and gets pedicures. I don't care. It's not my thing. But it's like,
I like it.
We don't have to, it's like the women don't have to hang out with masculine men, right? They can go hang out with effeminate men if they want. That's fine. There's a whole group. You can find them. They're everywhere now. So it's like, don't force us to change. Like, why are you trying to force us to change? I don't want to change. Testosterone almost impedes my ability to not be as direct and forward as I am. I mean, I'm, you're goal oriented. I am chemically balanced the way God made me. I'm here to conquer, man. I don't have time to be all like, oh my gosh, did I hurt your feelings? Like, I'm going to be loving and kind. I'm not going to be harsh with my wife, and I'm going to be respectful, obviously, to my elders. And if that's too toxic for you, well, hell, then you got a low bar. You should probably go hang out with, some dude that wears makeup.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because like I'm seeing some things because I came up in the college football recruiting world and like some of my athletes, I've known them for years, man. I saw them when they were coming up as sophomores and stuff, and some of them we've lost a couple soldiers, and my brother had pulled up a photo of one of my guys, and I was just like, please tell me that's not him. Walking around with a purse, nails painted. And I was just like, what in the it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting up there like you said, and I've had women tell me that like, you're just too much for me.
Yeah.
Cool. But what's always funny about that? When they go get with the effeminate man, and then they're having to make all the decisions. They're the ones going to check when they hear noises outside. And they're like, well, where are the real men at? Oh, now you want to come back to the table. See, that's the thing. Yeah. When we set the bounds, like you said, we're not being toxic. We're protecting you from things that we don't even want you to have to think about. That's what they don't get. I don't want you thinking about safety and protection. I want you to sit over there and be like, my dude is going to take the bullet. My dude's going to fire the bullet. Right? Yep. That's what we want. We actually love you enough to like I was sharing with a woman. I'm like, look, if we continue on with this, like I'm willing to put my life on the line to make sure that you live. That's what I'm called to do. Now, that's going to come with a certain mindset to where I'm thinking at a level like I'm going to get 2 steps ahead of things. Hey, we're going to have the proper protection here. We're going to have the proper safeguards in place, and you are going to bunker down. And when I tell you to do this at this time, I need you to do it for your safety.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'm doing. This is not about being toxic and being controlling and all these things like that. And I'm just like, come on, man. But then when they get with the soft guys, they're just like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm stronger than him.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
because that's what you wanted.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you realize that you don't want that because your biology takes over and is like, uh, wow. You saw what happened during COVID, right?
Yeah.
When everything shut down and it's a dog eat dog world to go get groceries. Who was in there shopping? Us. Mainly us. Why? Because everybody was in there and it was survival of the fittest. And then, and then when it came down to it, and some of these ladies got to go home and they got to see their kids more or whatever. And I knew I heard of a number of women was like, babe, do I have to go back to work?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, the caveman subjugated woman. Like, no, shocker. Men and women are different. I know,
For sure.
I know,
Yep.
I know. I did not go to school to learn that. Like, I it's just something that just makes sense. And we have roles, and not one is not greater than the other, but one is more consequential than the other. But we all need all of those parts to work together. Yes,
Mhm.
if it was just everything 100% run by us, we probably would be like we were back in the day and killing each other on a daily basis, like for just stuff.
That's
But
fair.
you know what?
Okay.
Women come in and say, hey, why don't you take it down a little bit? It's like, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
you're right. Yeah, yeah.
But there's times when because you know when you never hear toxic masculinity? When the grid goes down,
Yeah, yeah.
when it's
Yep.
a blackout,
Right.
when it's a hurricane, when there's flooding everywhere. You want all the toxic men with their trucks and their boats and their survival mechanisms and
Yep.
they're flying out in them helicopters. When we go to war and somebody's attacking us, you know what you want? All the toxic men of America going to go fight bad guys overseas,
Yep.
right? And drop bombs on them.
Right.
So miss me with all of that stuff. But yes, man, we got to get back to the point of where we're getting out of this feelings-based situation and looking at life for what it is. There's roles that we all play, and these roles are awesome, right?
Yeah.
We're not trying to hold no one down. And if there is dudes doing like that, guess who steps in? Guys like you and I to say, dude, you're out of line,
Yeah.
right? Because think about it, if toxic men were just out there just running rampant, who's going to be the ones to stop them?
Right.
Righteous men like yourself.
Yeah. Right.
Step in and say, dude, no, you need to fall back. That's not the way you treat, the women, the children, the elderly.
That's right.
That's our job to do that. But you can't tell us to lessen ourselves in everything else, but then like tell us to selectively turn it on for this. That's not
right.
how it works.
No, it's war. War, defense, provision, all these things. That's just the weight of all those responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I was reflecting on this with the guys that I meet with weekly also, because we're going through, don't be harsh with your wife, love your wife as Christ loves the church. He gave himself up for her, right? It's both sacrificial, it's not harsh, live with them in an understanding way. And oh, by the way, we need you to be the defender, the provider, the caretaker. We need you to be but that's what we're built for. Like if there is a machine or a robot that was built for a specific task, that is our task. That is what we can handle that weight. Every woman I've ever met that attempted to carry that weight for her husband, that's a miserable marriage, man. It hasn't worked. She's overwhelmed by the weight.
It's not meant to work.
Yeah, yeah.
Because for goodness sakes, we don't need to go back to the garden, but it's pretty clear that what we were built to do.
Yeah.
Right. And love, serve, protect. And like you said, and I caution ladies, I was like, stop screaming from the mountaintop that men aren't needed. You don't need this, you don't need that. Yes, you do. Yes, you absolutely do.
Yeah.
Because we build basically everything. And you're not. I was just driving up the street and I was rushing back from the gym to get here to do this show with you. And they're putting up a new four-way traffic stop. I didn't see a single lady out there. And you know what? I don't want to. Right?
No.
I don't want women doing commercial fishermen. I don't want them laying tar in July in Central Texas. I don't want that, right?
Yeah.
I want everyone to find their role. Yes. Are there some things on the fringes here and there? Are there some women who do construction, isn't it? Yes, but not enough to hold the world up.
Right. It's exactly right.
There's a couple here and there, but like, can you take care of a major city with just ladies doing all the infrastructure work? And the answer is no. And it's no for good reason, because us as men don't want you doing that. Let us take that burden on, because that's what we're built to do.
And women don't want that either, by the way. I mean, if you've ever seen an office full of women, no offense to the ladies, we love you. We care for you. But anybody knows, if you ladies in this audience have ever worked in an office with other ladies, you know how hard it is. It's so hard. Like, these chicks are crazy. You know, some of them are crazy. You're not crazy, but some of the chicks are crazy, and they want your job, and they're going to talk bad about you, and they're going to talk all this trash, and they're going to make life very challenging. You know what it is when you get a bunch of men in there? You get tension that rises up. You get maybe a fist fight from time to time. We hug it out, and we call it good, and we move on. It's easy for us. It's like it's women like you like to fester on things. And that's why if there was an Amazon world run by women, it would be, well, and that's what Wonder Woman is, right? It's an Amazon world. I'm not sure if they had male slaves or not. So that's maybe part of the propaganda of the 70s and 80s.
I think in history they did try it one. I think every time in history where they've tried kind of a whole woman community, I think it's failed every time.
Have they tried that before?
I think they have tried. I think historically they've tried it. I think I've heard maybe 1, 2, or 3 times. I can't fully point that out, but I've read that somewhere. And I mean, maybe it's fictional. I don't know, but I think they have tried that. But let's just say the experiment didn't last, because I know that I think it was about 5 years ago. There was a woman who got some seed money, and she started, I think it was a marketing firm. And her thing was that, hey, we're going to hire nothing but women. It's going to be woman-owned, woman-ran, everything. I think they said that that it lasted a year and a half, because they said that what ended up happening where they failed is that when they would have meetings, they would meet and talk about things that weren't good for the business. Like, I think one of the conversations was, they would meet about what color they're going to wear on Wednesday. Yeah, like, we'll talk like that's what, and I know that's to be true, because in my department, at my job, for the longest time, I was the only guy. And I used to remember when I'd come in and I'm doing my work, and I would hear the ladies kind of go to each other's cubicles. And I'm not even joking. They would debate for 90 minutes at 9:45 what was going to be for lunch. Like that would be it would be a conversation, and they were pulling out all these menus, and it would take them up until like 10, 11 a.m. to decide. Then somebody's got to go pick all of them up. They got to exchange the money and do the Zelle and all that stuff. And I used to remember, like, I'm just gonna go downstairs and make a sandwich.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's all I'm doing. But that's the thing. And I think the one thing is that where's the difference between men and women? Like, we can work with a dude and we can completely not care for him at all.
Yeah.
Like we can be like, I really just don't like this dude.
Mm-hmm.
But between these hours, you deal with him in a way to get stuff done, and then you go home. You might speak to him and say hello on the way in and goodbye on the way out. And that's all the conversation. And other than the interaction y'all need to have to be able to get a job done. But when ladies don't like somebody, man, they can't. A lot of them can't work on a project together. You think them guys on those construction sites, you think they're all homies? No. It's a bunch of dudes like, man, that dude, man, he got one more time to say something crazy to me. But we got a 5,000 square foot house to build, and it needs to be up in 90 days.
Yeah.
And we figure it out. Right. It's just a biological difference. It's just right. It's not good or bad. It is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And like you said, this is why we both need each other. Because if we're all in one room together, somebody's probably going to get hit, punched, and die. Over here, it's going to be totally chaotic and just like you said, it's going to be overrun with feelings. When you bring the two together, guess what? Here's the power structure. Here's the power structure. And they all come together, and it's just like, hey, Jake, why don't you relax a little bit,
Yeah,
sweetheart?
they complement each other. Like, if not for my wife, who is a complete defensive player, like if not for her, I'd probably run this thing into, I don't know, because I make decisions fast. And when you make decisions fast, sometimes you end up, making decisions you shouldn't have made.
Correct.
And that's my style. Like, shoot and then point. That's that's a problem that I have. So she balances that out. And it's nice because she can be like, hey, man, are you sure you're looking at this? And then from time to time, I get mad, like, hey, man, are you just always going to try to poke holes in my plan? But then when I take a breath, like you said earlier, take a breath, think about it. You go, dang it, you're right. Let's think about a more strategic way of getting the same thing done rather than me just shooting and then pointing and then burning a bunch of money, uh, trying to make up for the mistakes. With the last couple of minutes we have left, what's the next evolution of your message? What chapter is yet to be written?
Well, I would like to write another book, but my last book came out in 2023, so I'm going to start doing a lot more things with Now What. The next chapter is going to be to reinvent my speaking platform, and when I go into schools and do leadership work, um, I'm going to take the word with me.
Mm.
And I know that's, people are always like, oh, you got to separate business from ministry or whatever. But my Lord and Savior told me to go. And so he's going to go with me. Again, I'm not going to just walk into a locker room and just slam the word down and say, let's open to the book of James. But what I am going to do is when I do my leadership work with my guys, when I do my leadership work with the coaches, when I do my leadership coach work with the girls, and then I speak to the General Assembly of all the athletes of a particular school or a program, I'm going to tell the coach, like, hey, not only find me a nonprofit organization so that I can pour into them while I'm in the city and give back, but let's have a Bible study.
Mm-hmm.
Completely optional, not forced, but somewhere in between activity time, before practice or after practice, we'll meet for 45 minutes and we'll speak on a topic. We'll speak on leadership. We'll speak on humility. We'll speak on wisdom. We'll speak on something, and we'll have a Bible study, and it'll be open to all of the athletes who want to come and any coaches who want to come.
Perfect.
That's the difference of what I'm doing now. I used to always separate Wednesdays and Sundays from Monday through Friday. And now, if you book Amard Vital, this is what you're going to get. And yes, I know, like you said, it's risky because, some people are just like, you need to keep all that stuff separate. But you know what? I'm betting and I'm praying to my Lord and Savior, knowing that there's going to be some doors open, because there's going to be some people who's just like, man, we need a fresh anointing here. We need a fresh revival in this place. It's been so chaotic. We need someone who's going to come in and unapologetically and say, let's talk about this man named Jesus. Let's talk about Joseph. Let's talk about Paul. Let's talk about, Peter's hardcore loyalty after he was completely dishonest, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of see where are the characters within the word who we can use as examples as we move forward. We know who the main, like you said, the main character is, but he chose other people for us to go ahead and look at their lives as well. And so I want to be as much of a steward as possible. And so I'm gonna speak a lot on leadership. I'm gonna speak a lot on commitment. Right. I've spoken to in a many of platforms on commitment, because there's a many of things, especially men, who we have to be committed to. But even as an athlete, what are you committed to? Because there's different stages in life where you're committed to different things. And so my next stage is to really, Jake, to just kind of get out of like the chaos up here and just kind of bring that funnel down and do what I did with my goal sheet and start doing that with the business, redoing the business plan, redoing my one sheet, redoing my social media, and just getting to the point where it's just like, all right, hey, who is the Amard Vital and what does he represent? Well, for one, he represents the body of Christ. Okay, after that, what does he want to attack? And I need to get this wide umbrella out of the way and start getting a little bit more of like a sniper and saying, these are the three things you can expect out of me. And when I come to sit out in front of your ballers, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of what we've been having here on this podcast right now. Because I can't I can't not put my message out there with the level of heat that I come with, because every time I'm on one of these shows or I'm speaking or whatever, I just be like, God, you chose me.
Mm.
What the heck? And why did you choose me? All the idiotic things I've done, all the time I've gone against what you have called for me to do, all of the times where I have not been the light that you've called for me to be. And you say, you know what? I'm going to take that guy and I want him to go out there. And I want you to unapologetically stand up for our young men and build up a new crop of leaders. And I'm like, am I even leading well enough myself? And I had these conversations with myself. And it's really a push-pull, but it's like, I just say, okay, God, if you keep waking me up, you're waking me up for a reason. And you want me to do something bigger than myself. You want me to leave a legacy. So even though I'm reckless, even though I'm out of my mind, I'll continue moving and do that. And so the next step for me is to get in alignment with what I know he's calling me to do and execute it and put it in a way, and then get my compilation of men to say, hey, this is what the Lord is speaking to me. Help me put this together in a way to where I can have a concise message and go out there and fight the battles which I've called to fight.
Yeah, I have no doubt that is absolutely going to happen. We're going to link, we'll put all your links, Awaken the Baller Within, I'm More Than Enough. We'll put those book links in the description of the podcast, YouTube and everywhere. And then all of your contact information will go in there too. So until then, Amard, man, thank you so much for being here, dude. I really appreciate doing this, and look forward to seeing you down the road. See what the Lord does with you.
For more information about Jake, log on to JakeGiffin.com and find him on all social media platforms. Until next time, peace and power be yours.